Hi, I'm Cate Stillman with Yogahealer.com, and in this video, we're going to talk about awakening your deeper dream. And in fact, you're going to have the experience of awakening your deeper dream. You see, you have untapped powers, you have capacities that you've mastered, and then you have some capacities that are actually undiscovered or underdeveloped. And in this video, you're going to find out which capacities are next for you to develop in order to actualize your dream and step deeper into your potential in this next phase of your life. So where the centers are for you to develop, where these capacities are located, is actually in your own body. And we're going to look at the different centers of your body and which capacities are where. I love the word capacity. The origin is interesting. It actually means roomy. It means room or space. And it also means to hold, right? And we can actually look at, if we hold or create a container for the capacities, they can actually expand. You can become a bigger and much more capable evolution of yourself. So we're all here to deepen our own inner rhythm and take back our time. You're here to raise and refine your own vibration. You're here to unleash your own flow and ground your power and awaken your dharma, your life purpose in the next phase of your life. Honestly, when a few yoga health coaches heard I was concocting this new teaching about my experience of innovating on the 5 elements of Ayurveda and how I use this ancient wisdom tradition to guide increasing levels of success in my career, in my wealth, in my relationships, in my personal time and space, in my parenting, they got really excited. In fact, it actually sounds true. The massive publisher that does a lot of transformational work, they heard about what I'm teaching here and they want me to send them the book proposal about the core concepts of awake living. So I'm driven to share my experience because as I become more grounded in the bigger dharma that I'm experiencing in this life, and as I get more grounded in a really more easeful flow in my day-to-day life, so this first capacity that you have is your root. And in the root, you have the potential to stand in the truth that you know. You have your presence. So here we have the root, you have your presence grounder. And for those of you who are less familiar with the word grounding, I know this is a very yogic thing. So if you go to yoga class or you're teaching yoga, you know exactly what I mean. For those of you who don't, let me explain. To be grounded is to be connected to the earth element. So the root chakra, this number 1 chakra, is the root. It's the root of your perineum. It's the base of your tailbone. Between there, if you roll forward to where your genitalia is, right in between is the perineum, and that's it. Like it's your core. Consciousness comes in through the crown. It goes straight down, and it roots in the root. Now, in each level of capacity building, so for me, I've had a lot of different levels in life with career, with impact, with wealth, with intimacy and relationship and connectivity, with leadership, right? And at each up level, there's a whole different level of capacity of grounded presence. All right, so if you're thinking like, I've got deep grounded presence, and I'm getting better at that every day, and I'm super aware of it, then give yourself a 10, knock yourself out, right? But if you're like, I tend to be not very much in my body, or my mind goes here and there, and I get really afraid of growth, then the chances are this has got a pretty low number on your scorecard. And that's okay. Remember, we're not judging our scores at all. We're just starting to find out, like, where do we need to build capacity to awaken our dream at the next level? And that's really what this is about. I love in the book, The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, he talks a lot about how when they grow in a certain way, maybe they get a raise at work, or maybe they buy a new car, or they receive an inheritance, or their kid wins the state championship and they're elated. Often then, because they're in such an expansive feeling, they'll often like trip and fall and like twist their ankle or break their toe, or get in an accident or an injury, or then something very bad will happen in their life. And he basically relates this to this root chakra of not actually gaining the next level of grounding. So as you become more expansive and are able to do more in the world, we need to be able to ground that. And that's really what this skill is a lot about. So you're just going to give yourself a rating, 1 to 10. What's going on with your presence grounder? How are you doing there? Number 2 is, this is the sacral area chakra. It's where your reproductive organs are. It's the centers of sensuality in your body. It's your lower back, more of your sacrum area, this region of your body. And there is a very physical sense to all of these. For those of us who aren't as in our legs or in our hips or our lower back, where there's issues in those areas, like there's going to be issues with the corresponding power. And the same thing's true in each center of the body. So for those of us who have like a disowned lower belly or lower back region, this is very much has to do with what's going on in the power here of number 2. So the number 2 power here is your desire, is what I'm naming your desire connector. So this is second chakra, sacral center. There's such a drive in Western culture to, actually be kind of heady, to like think a lot, to be quick, to be stimulated, and to grow. And that's all good. But if we're not actually tuned to our own desire, it actually leads to a lot of problems. So our desire connector is very sensual in nature. And I'm just going to put that in parentheses here. How much do you attune to your desire? Like, do you eat what you want to eat, and do you really deeply enjoy what you're eating, right? Do you enjoy the cloth when you get dressed in the morning and putting something on your skin? Do you allow yourself to be led by a very physical level of like the people you want to connect with, right? The people you want to spend time with, the relationships you want to develop? Are you attuned to that which is a yes and that which is a no? And do you let that impact your decision making? So your desire connector has everything to do with how connected you are in terms of making very, in many ways, mundane, everyday decisions in alignment with your own desire. The yogis call this desire, they call it raga. And raga has everything to do with, like, it can be so distracting if you're just like chasing desire, because you're not grounded. So you can see that these different skills are very much played into each other. But when we're grounded, our desire actually connects us. It connects us to spirit, right? The connection to the entire sushumna, the entire energy channel. And it also connects us to the outer world of like, this is what I want to play with. And there's a very playful energy, right, in the lower parts of the body, the things that are below the belt, things that very traditional, cultural, religions have actually said, like, hey, this is don't mess around in here. It's really super dangerous. But on an awake path, it's not dangerous, right? It's where there is a lot of conscious intelligence. And as you awaken the power of your conscious intelligence, and as you start to trust your desire that it's leading you in the right direction, that it's leading you to more connection, right? It's leading you to more bliss. It's leading you to another level of empowerment in self, then all of a sudden it's a game changer. So go ahead and give yourself a score on how much are you living your life, your everyday life, like yesterday kind of life, in connection with desire. Okay, we're going to move on to number 3 here. The number 3 capacity as a human being that you have and that you can develop. And this third capacity is in the solar plexus. I like to liken it to the place you get hungry. It's interesting too that when we look at the anatomy of the body, the musculature, there's a very, very huge deep muscle that is connected. There's actually 2 pretty big ones, but one on each side, and then there's a third called the diaphragm that are very active in this area. And the 2 muscles that actually have their origins here are the psoas, so they go all the way up to T12, to the lower ribs, and they connect your torso to your legs, which is interesting, right? Because this is the place where all of a sudden the upper body really starts to begin, and everything beneath that is the lower body. So this center in your body, we have the solar plexus, we have the place we get hungry, we have the place of fire in the body, we have the small intestine, we have the digester, we have the metabolizer. What I see this is your personal empowerer. So how much do you own your personal power? How much are you empowered in your individual person, just in you, right? And there's a lot of actually connection between personal strength here and actually like a physical, embodied personal strength where you own it. How much do you own your own power? And it's like when someone gives you a compliment, are you like, yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's me. You see me. Thank you. Right? And that has a lot to do with this. And if you're someone who's like, you deflect compliments. That's one of the ways, it's like you deflect compliments, or you don't trust your own knowledge or your own wisdom, that you don't take risk based on your past experience, based on your desire, right? You don't actually stand in the truth that you know and stand in your history of experiences and start to leverage those into action. There's a lot of action and metabolism in this part of the body. It's a very active, fiery part of your body. And so when we look at this, there's a sense of like, this is where empowerment happens on the very personal level, just you as an individual. How much are you acting from your own power in your own day-to-day life? So again, give yourself a rating on a scale of 1 to 10. And if we look at like, do you have a lot of digestion issues or absorption issues? Do you have issues in the middle part of your body, in the middle back area? These are all things to be aware of, like, okay, there's something happening with your personal power. And your ability to metabolize your experience into action, into future action. So that might be another way to say it, like, hey, on a scale of 1 to 10, how am I metabolizing my experiences day to day into my future actions, into my tomorrow? What happens on this path as we go into the fourth capacity, what happens on this path of becoming empowered, connected to desire, more grounded in presence, is we start to have desires that are actually beyond ourselves. We start to want more for others. We start to want more for, even many of us are called to want more for the planet, for all sentient beings, right? We start to actually expand our care. And so number 4, this capacity, I'm naming it your care expander. How much are you expanding in your care? And then, of course, how much are you acting in alignment with that? That you can start to see these things really go hand in hand. This capacity of expanding your care, what it does is it starts to up-level your dharma. It starts to bring you more and more from an empowered physical place. It brings you more out into the world so that you can have impact on others, so that you can actually notice that your dreams are very much tied to others outside of you. So this is really where impact starts to show up. And I know for me, I had a very strong care expander from the beginning, from in high school. I'm not going to go too much into my personal story here. But what I've attuned to over time is like things that seemed impossible then, to have a real impact then, are seeming more and more real with each expansion of my dharma and with each embodiment through taking action and getting results, seeing results and noticing impact. I'm noticing like, whoa, this number for me is creeping up. And as it creeps up, guess what happens? Your care expands more. And your capacity to expand your care becomes much more of an active experience in your day-to-day life. So notice right now, like what's going on with this on a scale of 1 to 10, what sort of impact are you having on others? That's a reflection of your deeper cares. How empowered are you to actually take action on your deeper cares that go way beyond like the I, like as John Lennon said, all through the day, I, me, my, I, me, my, I, me, my. This is not about that. Like this is, for sure. Everything down here is very much I, me, my. Like everything up here gets way bigger, way, way bigger. And this is the pivot center in the heart. Even if you look at the physical location, this is the heart center. And we have this north-south axis, and then we have this east-west axis. Right? And here we have the image of the human being as the cross, where we have these intersecting planes. We have the gravitational plane, and then we have the expansive plane, and they both go in multiple directions. We have the ability to give and to receive with our hands. And this is very much the embodiment of the care expander. Even if you see an image of care, if we're to try to draw human care, you usually get two images. One is the heart, right, and the other is the hands in an open gesture of really both giving and receiving, because it is a two-way street with care. We have to be able to receive with compassion the experience of someone else, and we have to be able to give what we can, right, in order to help. And that's really what the care expander is all about. So how much are you living in this? How much is this your lived reality? Not like, I care, but I don't take action. No, this is like, I care, and I take action, and I get results from that. So I know I'm actually having an impact. This fifth capacity, this fifth chakra is located in your throat. I'm calling it your vibrant communicator. And it was interesting when I looked up the etymology of vibrant. I'm like, what do I want to use? I want to use this word vibrate. I wonder if the word vibrant is connected to it. And indeed, all vibrant reflects is this capacity to move quickly back and forth. So our ability to actually communicate all of this in an embodied way is what this fifth capacity is all about, where we take a stand for our desires. We're grounded in our presence. We're articulating from a place of personal empowerment, from our past experience. We're owning what we know. We're owning what we can do, right? This is actually very tied to doership. Right? Your ability to do something, and you own your doership, right? It's very much connected to your care and your capacity to care and to have impact based on your care. So how much is that actually connecting you through this vibratory field, this field of resonance? And again, what I found and continue to find is that at each level of expansion in my life, whether it's relationship, whether it's wealth, whether it's leadership or impact, right? At every level of expansion, whether it's physicality of just like being a strong, integrated, in integrity Homo sapien, right? Each of these levels, as I kind of have a breakthrough in an area, I notice that each one of these capacities has to expand and stand into that ownership of that. And so with this, we have a voice, which means that your voice develops over time. When you're with someone who's a powerful leader or a powerful speaker, and you ask them, how has your voice evolved over time? They will talk your ear off. And they'll say, oh my gosh, back in the day, and they'll have stories where this was not a developed capacity. And if you ask them more questions, they'll tell you how they developed this capacity. So you want to give yourself a rating here. On a scale of 1 to 10, what kind of capacity do you have? Is your voice, is it vibrant? Does it clearly communicate for connection so that someone else can bridge the gap of separation between you and them? Is your voice, is it effective in motivating others? Is it effective in leading the kind of impact that you want to have, right? And if you're like, oh, I want to have all this impact, but I'm not willing to put myself out there. I'm not willing to grab a megaphone from time to time to amplify my message. Right, then we know that this is probably going to be a little bit of a lower number. If you've actually started to study language and speech and to learn how to actually speak more from lower down in your body so that your words carry a stronger, more embodied connection, right? More energy of grounding. You'll be like, oh yeah, that number can actually be a little bit higher. If you stutter, if you hiccup, if you tend to add a lot of like ums and buts and likes and you tend to misspeak or you hold back and you're afraid to even put your voice out there in the world, just know that as you point your awareness and like, okay, I'm going to put a lower number here, maybe a 1, 2, or 3, right? Just so that I know like this is a capacity I'm going to need to build some skills around. I need to strengthen this part of my body. The throat is very vulnerable, right? We have like a lot of space, not a lot of bone protection. There's just a spine in the back. It's not like having some ribs, right? Protecting your heart center, some big hip bones protecting your lower center. It's incredibly exposed part of your body. It is the most exposed part of your body. And there is a vulnerability to vocalizing the truth that you know. And, especially the history for women, and mostly women are listening to this. So for most of us, for our history, there's been a lot of consequences to speaking truth, right? And using our truth as a way to empower and connect and to enable something else to happen. There's been a lot of danger to picking up the megaphone. Right? And so we might have this very underdeveloped capacity. You may have a very low score there. Your mother may have had a low score there. Your grandmother may have had a low score there, right? And it's like, it's okay. Any of these capacities you can develop, right? We're living in a different day and age. It's less scary now. Okay, the sixth capacity here, the sixth chakra, is your third eye. And the third eye is an interesting power center. It's an interesting capacity. We have this place, and actually the third eye, when you see it on a drawing or something, it looks like it's on the surface, but like our eyes are on the surface, but it's actually not. It's physiologically located more back in the head. They call it the cave of Brahman, or the cave of like the deep wisdom guide, the guru inside, the seeker who's learned. Right, your inner guru here. So when you look at this as a capacity, your sixth chakra, third eye capacity, you have your visionary, you have your leader, you have your director. Right? This is the part of you that is directing the show. This is the capacity of going in the right direction. There are so many choices. There's actually infinite choices for what you can do with your time, what you can do with your space, what you can do with your flow, what you can do with your body. In fact, you could weigh 200 more pounds than you do now, right? You have so much choice in terms of what you want to make of yourself, what you want to make of your life, what you want to have happen with your dharma. You have so much choice. And a lot of this ways of like, how do we streamline the field of the infinite into concrete action steps, right? That's this point. And where is the direction? Who's going to make the call, right? Where you go. And that's what this capacity is all about, is your vision capacity and the ability of your director to make sure that your vision is followed through in real time. And that's what this sixth chakra capacity is all about. If you feel like you're a drifter, like your life goes this way, and you set a goal and you take like 3 steps there, and then you're like, get distracted and take a few steps this way, right? There's going to be a lower number on your scale of 1 to 10. But if you see the vision, you lay out the plan, and you walk, and it's usually like, a little side to side, like eventually, but you get there, this is a developed capacity for you, and you can give yourself a high number in that area. I'm going to talk about the seventh capacity. The seventh capacity is all about the universe, right? The cosmos, the massiveness of our big collective history here. There's a saying that like you cannot be separate from the universe that created you. This is a cosmocentric perspective. And the seventh chakra really attunes us to the cosmos. It attunes us to universal energy, or the deeper energies that are always already available. Right? A lot of us think we have to generate personal energy, but if you look at great saints and gurus and whatnot, they're actually resting into the support of the universal energy and just allowing it to fuel them, allowing it to run through the system, allowing it to fuel their actions in the world. And that's very much what this is. This is a conduit, right? It's like how receptive and open is your conduit. And if it's very receptive and open, you don't have energy issues, right? You have a lot of energy running through your system. You have a lot of energy to fuel these other capacities. So when I look at this conduit, I'm like, well, what is this conduit really about? And in my experience, it's very much about dharma. It's very much about life purpose. And when we look at life purpose as like one big thing, it can get really confusing. It can get quite almost like overwhelming. If it's like, it's all too big, it's all too much. But when we just look at dharma as something that comes in phases, something that comes in cycles, right? That's something, it's like there's different chapters of your life, and there's different chapters of your dharma. So I'm just inviting you right now to take this seventh capacity a little bit more in that parts that in the scope of your lifetime will make up the whole book. So if we look at the seventh capacity as a capacity to evaluate and a capacity to build, right? We have your Dharma conduit. So it's a conduit. A conduit is something that holds energy, right? So we have this way of bringing in energy, of like conducting energy through the whole system. And all we have to do is be aware of it, and it'll do its thing. It'll conduct. And what will it conduct? It'll conduct your Dharma. And you'll get this insight, which will attune your vision, right? And then your sixth chakra will be like, okay, now I get the sense of what's going on. I'm going to create a plan, and I'm going to go towards that plan. So just looking at this capacity as a whole is like, one, how skillful are you at being fueled by the universal energy? One. And two, how receptive are you to the insight, to intuition, to that influence? And how much is that insightfulness feeding your vision, right? And so there's very much that connection, that the seventh connects to the sixth. They're all obviously connected. All the chakras are reliant, have relationship with above and below. They also have relationships in terms of opposite 1 to 7, right? Can you ground this energy through your presence? Can you ground it through your physical body all the way to your root, right? And that's one way of seeing like, oh, that's what she meant by 1. Okay, I'm actually probably not as high on that as I thought I was. Or maybe like, oh yeah, no, I'm good at that. Okay, that's actually a decent score there. 2 is related to 6, our desire and our vision. These two are related. If our vision burns out our desire, it'll burn out our vision, right? So these are very related. Number 3 is related to number 5. Do we speak our personal power, right? And then 4 is in the plane of its own, tying above and the below. So I hope this has been helpful for you. I hope you have scores now between 1 and 10 for each of these capacities. And what I want you to do is to breathe it all in, to actually take a moment and absorb like, hey, no harm, no foul, no judgment. I'm just allowing myself to measure and to see what capacities I'm going to need to develop in order to have more experience of my own empowerment, like to live my life more awake, to be more in flow with my own rhythm, to have control of time and design time, bend time the way I want to bend time, to influence my physical space so that it actually helps me step into more of my own capacities, to attune to my Dharma, this next phase of my life and the purpose, to experience more flow in my day-to-day rituals, to enable my body, my physical body, these power centers in my body to be at full strength. Because why go through life, at like half-assed? Like why go like half the way I could? I'm here in a physical human being body. Wow, it's incredible. It's like the most evolved piece of technology in the known universe, right? Take advantage, develop your capacities. So the next question is what happens when these 7 wheels are freed up to spin without resistance, to spin in their full power, all 7 working together as a cohesed whole of you. When you have access to each of these 7 capacities, and you are then able to call upon them as needed. So in the next video that we're going to do, I'm going to actually bring in some stories from some of my inner circle, people that I've taught some of the other teachings of Awake Living to. I often hear from members that I'm a little like out of the stratosphere of normal, and I actually don't believe that at all to be true. I'm actually quite forthright with that I've always been a B student. And what I want you to do though is hear from people that are not me about how some of these teachings and how applying these teachings and in embodying these capacities have shifted their lives. So in the next video, I'm also going to download the 5-element system in your relationship to your space, your time, your Dharma, your flow, and your body. And this is so important to get. There's different core competencies with each of the 5 elements applied to daily living. So I hope that this video today has helped you kind of think about your power, starting to awaken your powers and your power to dream. I want my team to be available to you, to support you in awakening your own capacities in your own dream. So if you're interested in talking to one of the coaches on the team, you can go to yogahealer.com/dream. They'll listen, they'll help actually pull your dream out of you, pull out the next phase of your capacity building, and help you start to envision the next phase of your life. So I'm just going to leave you with, what is your dream? What is your dream with your time, with your space or your physical environment, with your rhythm, your daily rhythm, with your experience of flow through your day, with your dharma? So take a moment and experience that. Go to yogahealer.com/dream and you can fill out a form. We can schedule a sesh for you to talk with a coach and start to hash out exactly what is your dream. Can you give words to ideas so that they become more real? Because you are here to realize, to make real your potential.